All right, so good morning, everybody. This
Hey there.
is Julian and JP. So this is going to be our first podcast episode for the J and J show. Which
It has to be the J and J show.
perfect name, J. So for those of you guys that don't know us, we're both managers of Howard Hanna Rand Realty, and we figured, let's just get into it. Let's just talk about real estate a little bit. Let's see what some success stories are for some of the agents out there.
And what's really cool about it is I'm in Rockland County and Julian's in Westchester County. So the two of us have this great setup with being, in the top top 5, top 3, top 2, climbing to top 1 in the counties and growing, and we're on opposite sides of the bridge. So we have nothing competitive.
Two different worlds, though. Two different worlds.
Totally. Nothing, very little similar in our markets.
Yeah.
But completely doing this together. So it's a little bit of the best of both worlds with the two of us, I think.
I think it's all, listen, Westchester is its own animal. Rockland is its own animal.
Definitely.
And, it almost seems like we live in two different countries. The people don't cross over the bridge unless they have to.
You need a passport for the bridge.
Need a passport to cross the bridge. They just put in customs, so make sure you have it on you. I just want to talk a little bit about you. Like, how did you get started? For the people listening, they don't know who we are really, and they have to know us a little bit.
They do. So well, similar to you, but we'll talk about you after. I was born into real estate. So literally my entire family was in it, and my brother opened up his own office.
Okay.
And I thought I had this great gig going. I was, 17, and my brother said, okay, you're turning 18, you have to take your state test.
Okay.
You have to take your course, you have to do the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, fine.
So your brother pressured you into
My parents, my brother, everything. So I was like, all right, no big deal. But I had the coolest summer gig. I was a lifeguard. So it's like I sat there, I twirled the whistle, I had a great tan, I was a swim coach and diving coach. I had everything going for me.
Do you keep the whistle in the office here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you did that video. It's that training video. That's what you got it.
You keep them going.
So I thought I was going to continue to do that, and then I took the course. And like any true 17-year-old, I didn't study. It's I showed up for class. I never did anything. Took the test. The class taught for their test. The school. It was not our board of realtors. It was a different outside school.
Okay.
So they completely taught for the course and the test. So I passed the school test and I failed the state test.
Because you didn't study?
I did not study. I never opened a book. So my brother was like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, what's the big deal? I still got time. I got another month until I'm 18. So I took it a second time thinking that it was a fluke I failed because I passed the school test.
Yeah.
And I failed.
No.
So then I'm like, I really have to open the book because this is bad. I'm going to get in a lot of trouble at home.
Your brother might not hire you at that point.
So much. Oh my God. So I passed when I actually opened the book and read it. And I literally opened the book and it cracked. I hadn't opened it at all. So
do you think it was easier doing it with a book or online like all the agents are doing now?
Oh God. I'm an in-person person. I don't love the non-interaction of sitting in front of a computer because you don't understand agency. You don't understand certain things as well as when you can have the inside classroom correspondence with other students and the teacher.
No, I agree. I did mine all online, and I got to say, I didn't interact with a single soul. It was 75 hours of pure hell, just going through it day after day until I finally got my license. But I gotta say, if I could have taken
But you passed the first time.
I studied, JP.
I did pass my broker's test the first time, just so you know.
I crammed my broker test in 3 or 4 days, or 5 days. I was able to take the entire course that I had to take and then get my test scheduled the next week. I'll tell you more about that story about when I started my brokerage. But that test was not easy.
Because you started here.
I started
and
here.
then you left here and you came back.
Well, I came back because you're here and everybody else is here and
You wanted the J&J show.
I needed the J&J show. It was just the J show without you, so it was very important. So keep going. So tell me what happened after you got your test.
So I passed the test, and then my brother's like, all right, well, quit your job. And I'm like, wait, that wasn't part of the deal. I'm like, I need a tan. I'm a sun worshiper. So I did. And my brother said to me, you're 18, you can't sell houses, you're too young, nobody will buy a house with you in Scarsdale, because I was in Westchester at that point. My brother had his company in Scarsdale. And so I'm like, all right. And I did rentals and co-ops.
I want to go off on a tangent here. So you said you were 18 when you started.
Yeah.
Right? So I was also pretty young, 22 or 23 years old. What do you think that the new agents have, new agents, and I mean young agents just getting in, do you think that they run across that all the time out there in the field, that they're too young or that people don't trust them to sell their home? What's your honest opinion on that?
So my honest opinion, and I get it because I was in that spot.
Yeah.
You just have to earn your gray hair. You have to earn your stripes.
Okay.
And it depends on how you look and how mature you are. And I think you actually have to dress older as well. And
Okay.
that's not something that today I see a lot of people in that younger age group do, because we're all hip and we're cool, and now I'm trying to dress younger.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
now it's reversed itself.
No, totally.
But you have to really show a maturity. And the thing is that you walk in and you're like, well, I could sell that $2 million house. And it's like, maybe you need somebody with you to help groom you to that level.
Agreed.
And the truth is, you can make a ton of money doing the way I started, doing what I did with rentals and co-ops. And it doesn't mean you can't sell that house.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to really dress the part and mature yourself and get the language and listen to what I'm going to say next, the calm in you, because I'm so not. But those are the things you have to do. And it was tough because, I was all about, oh, I can do this. What are you talking about? I'm not just doing rentals. Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
No,
it wasn't.
I ran into that all the time. So I started with rentals, as you know. Rentals
Yes.
was my game. You give me a $1,200
There's nobody
rental,
better.
I will run it to the ground and I will find something for them. But that's the only way that I found myself getting my feet wet was through rentals.
But then you took off in this whole totally different direction with developers and builders and launching entire buildings, which people don't do 30 years into their career.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It kind of all started, and going back to the point of like dressing the part and making sure you look older. I remember I was in the White Plains office at the time. I don't know if you were manager or you might have just left up here for New City at that point.
Yeah.
But Marcia came into the office and she said, "Julian, get rid of that stuff on your face." And I said, "No, Marcia, this makes me look older. People trust me when I have this beard." And that's the day that I met my first developer. And I still to this day feel that if I didn't have this beard, maybe I would have never worked with him. Maybe he wouldn't have had trust. So I think, to JP's point, being a young agent, dress the part, look the part, and
you'll have plenty of
fake it till you
time,
make it.
right? Exactly, and you'll have plenty of time trying to then reverse that whole thing,
Yeah.
because now it's like, now oh my God, I'm turning 50 this year, so now it's like,
50?
well, how do I look younger?
Yeah,
Yes,
you don't
is
look
that
50
crazy?
at all.
How
You
did
don't
that
look
happen?
50.
When did that
I
happen?
thought you were turning 30.
I love you.
Yeah, there we go.
See, this is why it's the J&J show.
Yeah, I'm turning 30, and she's turning 30, and she's been doing this a lot.
Thank you, because oh my God, that would have been so painful if you actually just said the other number next to your 30.
Yeah, no, well, 29. I still have
There you
another
go.
month to go
There
until
you
I'm
go.
30. So yeah, no, I mean, developers it's not an easy game working with developers. A lot of people think that you can go out there and just talk to a builder and just say, hey, I want these 100 units,
But these are multi-million-dollar projects sometimes too. I mean, you're having somebody literally hand you their entire build and their investment, that their whole entire amount of money invested in that project is riding on your ability to launch it, rent it, get the money coming in, and then they either keep it in a portfolio or sell it. So that's not just investing your trust in finding you the right home. That's so much bigger.
Yeah, it's really you're an investment. So the way I like to look at it, it's like a marathon. When a developer buys a piece of property, it's straight marathon. So first person to get it is the excavation team. They got to dig the foundations, they got to get it ready, then it passes off to the plumbers, the electricians down the line, and I'm the last person to get the baton. I have to bring this project across the finish line, because otherwise, if I don't bring it across the finish line, everything all those contractors did, all that hard work, years of planning, money, everything goes down the drain. You need to fill those buildings.
You can't drop the baton in the race.
You can't drop the baton in the race. It's the most important part of the race, and they do. You're being entrusted with millions of dollars of investments into a project, and they need to see that project done. So it's not, for those of you that think it's just renting out a building, it's just a few rentals. If you think marketing a $2 million property is hard, imagine marketing 250 apartments and getting 250 people to say, I want to live here.
Well, and then there's like the weekly call, and there's the how many rentals have you done this week, and when are they moving in, and coordinating all of it. So it's not just the launch and all the marketing that you have to get done, but then you're seeing it all the way through with leases and move-ins and just there's so
and
much.
you know it also. I know you have a great project that you did, Glass House.
Yep.
And how was that one?
We were both involved in Glass House.
That was a good one. So we both
Yep.
worked Glass House. We'll tell you more about that on another episode.
Oh, definitely. It's not easy.
No.
It's really, it's a totally different animal. And what's interesting is we have something at Rand, as you know, like the hybrid. So for people who are interested in residential real estate and commercial, it's a hybrid program where you can do both.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I'll say it, and this might be offensive to some, but anybody who thinks that they can go residential and just go sell commercial, they're wrong.
No.
Now, I know I have one fan in that statement, that's Paul Adler,
Okay.
who runs our commercial division, okay? But you can't, and it's the same thing with this. It is a completely different knowledge base.
Okay. And I think you're right. And I think you're right. And I want to go back to another point we talked about. Just kind of we went on this development tangent, but I want to go back to your original story, and especially for those new agents that are on listening to us right now. How was your first year? Your first year in real estate, because everybody comes in with this glamour, like, oh my God, I'm going to make $150,000. I'm going to sell all these $1 million homes. I only need to sell 4 $2 million homes to make my year. Honestly, I'll share my first year. How was your first year?
So I was lucky in that I had so much going on that I didn't know any better. So when I say that, I was in school full time as well. So I was going out to Hofstra University. I was commuting. And I managed to get a schedule that was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which I thought was so cool because then I had like 2 days off a week and weekends.
Yeah.
So I was busy studying and like trying to get my, grades really up there and graduate and do all that kind of stuff and continue that process and then also sell real estate. So the best part about it was I was like the only person on campus driving a new car.
Yeah.
So it's like I went and I did like Saab convertible. It was my favorite car, the good old humpback chicken.
Oh, God.
Loved that car.
I saw you in a Saab for a while.
Oh, I love that car. I love that Saab.
Yeah.
So I worked really hard doing the weekends and so on, and I didn't know any better, because it was like you were doing both. So for me, it was a lot easier because I was also living at home. So, I had no real expenses.
No, totally.
The thing that I find today with agents coming in is if they're not so busy with, they can only fit so much in on the weekends or on those days off, and I had to juggle both, they tend to work like a couple hours here, a couple hours there. And in this business, you have to work. What you put into it is what you get out. I always tell people, if you were to go to IBM and IBM would hire you for 3 hours a day, you still wouldn't make any money.
Yeah,
you would be broke.
You have to be committed.
So it doesn't matter where you go, you have to work.
Yeah.
And I had to work because I only had certain days. So it kind of got all piled in. This was school, this was real estate.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it was successful for me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have time to kind of go, I have the rest of the week or the rest, I can go get my hair done and my manicure.
I love what you said about it's not where you work. It's not about where you work, it's about what you do. And I think that's so important because I've noticed on social media all the time, I see agents jumping from one brokerage to another brokerage to another brokerage.
They're looking for a magic pill.
They're looking for the magic pill. And they think that,
and the magic pill's in training and working. So if you go to some place that doesn't have that, then yeah, you're going to have to hop. But if you think just going to the place that has it and not implementing it, I have this thing. I feel like if I buy a piece of workout equipment, automatically every time I buy something, I should lose 10 pounds.
Yeah,
but it doesn't work. I actually have to use it. I have to use it.
Yeah, you have to use it. And I think that the get rich quick first year, I'm going to do all this. It's a job that takes a lot of commitment. Yeah. A lot of commitment. And I talk to my new agents, and again, they just think those four $2 million sales. How many $2 million sales have you come across?
On a new agent, not very many.
Not very many, right?
Even sometimes on experienced agents, it just depends. It depends on what market you're in.
I love the $500,000 home.
It's a sweet spot.
It's the sweet spot. Like Joanne says, the sweet spot. Right now we're in the sweet spot. That's a sweet spot for a price.
So I know you, and we're going to get to you. Yeah. You grew up in a real estate family, and I did.
Yep.
And one of the things that my family always said, it's easier to sell $2 $500,000 houses, even $3 $500,000 or $4 $500,000 houses, than $1 or $2 $2 million houses.
Agreed.
It's just much easier.
Yeah.
You can do like double and triple the amount of business in the time that it takes to sell one.
Well, there's more people.
There's more people, and it's just it's a different world. Again, it's different marketing also, which of course you have all of that here in Rand.
I love the feeling of when you help somebody find their first home. I get personally invested, which is a problem. I always get emotionally involved. And I want my clients to find the best home, and sometimes
But then they come back to you.
They come back
That's
to me.
The thing.
That's the thing.
It's client for life. That's Joe's whole thing. Core. It's client for life. Realtor for life, and it's just so true.
I love it.
It's special.
I mean, when they get the keys and they're just smiling and they're happy and you did right by them.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I try to teach my agents.
And you get referrals.
They have to, make sure that they do right by the client. That's the only way.
It's true.
Yeah.
Even if the client's not always easy, because you have to realize it's like so emotional for them too.
Yeah.
Like they're investing their entire life savings in this process.
Totally.
So that's all. But so I want to get to you.
Okay.
So actually, I technically brought you in. Well, actually, your mom brought you in technically because your mom worked for the company too. But I did. So that was kind of fun. And then I left him. And I went to New City because I used to manage my planes. And then Marsha Rand made this phone call to me one night and said, can you meet me? It was a Friday night. Can you meet me for drinks? And I was like, okay, I don't know what this is about. This is odd. And then she's like, I want you to move to New City. And 'cause it's a big office. It's
Yeah.
the flagship for the company, and you're in Westchester, which is like our huge area of growth also right
Yeah.
now.
Oh, huge.
So it's a lot of exciting. So I left you immediately, and
did.
then
I
all of
was
a sudden I
sad.
get to like hear about you, and it's all these amazing things.
Yeah.
So what happens? I mean, you signed, and then all of a sudden you went from like being this new agent to this like unbelievably hugely successful
Thank
in
you.
no time, like rookie of the year kind of crazy.
Well, you brought me on, so you obviously saw something.
Yeah, I get 5 seconds of credit
but,
on that.
You know, I came into the business. I remember I used to work in finance, and after a year of finance, 80-hour weeks, I was like, I'm tired of this. I'm not. I thought I was.
So you went to 90-hour weeks in real estate.
So I thought I was going into create your own schedule. You know, go on vacation whenever you want. Little did I know that like the opposite. 90 hours a week, always on your phone. You can't put that thing down. But my mother's in real estate. She's with Howard Hanna. And I was sitting on the couch one day, and she's looking at me, and she goes, you don't like what you're doing right now. And I said, no. And she goes, you know what? You'd be amazing in real estate. And I was like, I don't know. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I took my test, and I got involved, and it just took off from there. And it really was, it seems like it took off. Sometimes I look back, and I wonder, how did I end up with these connections and these relationships that I've built over the last 5 years with people trusting me with, $60, $70 million investment projects. And then I think it all started from the ground up. I remember my first weekend, I was working with Tony Berardi, who's still with us. He was actually the manager at New Rochelle and now is an agent. He was a rental manager at the time. And he comes to me and he says, I got a lead for you. It's a $1,200 rental. Do you think you could do it? And when he told me, do you think you can do it? I was like, absolutely I can do it. So I took it and I ran with it. And I remember I would take anything and everything.
See, but there's the difference too. Because you don't know who, first of all, you don't know who the $1,200, tenant knows. That's the first thing.
One of those.
And the second thing is, if you can give that kind of energy to anything, then the rest kind of comes. It just does.
Yeah.
Because that passion translates all the way through. And for everybody who doesn't know, his mom is like the most amazing woman. So
Top notch.
Lydia,
Happy Mother's Day, by the way.
Happy Mother's Day, Lydia. I mean, she's just amazing. So, she did right by you by getting you out and into real estate.
And I remember when I first started, this is a funny story. I was still trying to get, maybe I'm working Monday through Friday, not really working all the weekends. I was young, I was 22, I was going away for the weekend, and she calls me one day, it's like a Sunday, I'm watching Sunday football, I'm up at some school visiting a friend, and she calls me and she goes, Julian, if you want to do real estate, you have to do real estate. So this is your last weekend away. Right. When you come back, you're going, balls to the walls. You're going full speed ahead. Right. And I did. And sometimes I wonder if it was luck. Sometimes I always attribute everything to luck, just being in the right place at the right time. But somebody once told me that.
But you create that opportunity.
Those opportunities. That's absolutely right. And you know what? I mean, I'm just thankful that I got to meet the people that I met. Michelle Coletti, who was with us for a while. Right. She was a great mentor. She taught me so much about the business. And everybody else,
Well, and she's on to different things now. She's doing a lot of other development.
She's working with Lighthouse Living, which is a development firm here in Westchester, and she's awesome. She knows the business, but she really got me off the ground and gave me the confidence to say, you can go talk to these developers. The business, So it was great meeting her, and just the relationships you make along the way. You never know where you're going to end up a few years later.
You don't.
And the Property Brothers. I mean, that one was a crazy story. I was sitting at the building. Some guy walks in and he goes, I need 10 apartments. And I said, who the heck needs 10 apartments in one building?
You're like, am I getting punked?
Oh my God, I thought I was getting punked. And then I was like, okay, maybe he's like a tester. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
He ended up renting them. And he goes, by the way, we need somebody to choose all the houses for the Property Brothers. And I said, well, I'm in. And then one opportunity leads to the other. And you know what? I tell my agents all the time, the one thing I love about this business is when I wake up in the morning and I check my phone, I don't know what's going to come. Am I going to get an email for a new client? Is there a new offer on the table? It's just an exciting journey every single day.
Okay, so we know what you love because you just said it. What do you, I don't want to use the word hate, but what is like the hardest thing or the thing that you find most frustrating in real estate?
I mean, the hardest thing is when
we got to be true about this too.
I mean, like I have control. I need to have control over my projects, and I need to make sure that they go to plan. And I think the hardest thing is when things don't go to plan. Right. Trying to get it back on track. You have these hopes, you have these ambitions, you do your marketing, and you think things are going to pan out. But sometimes the market doesn't take the way that you hope. Right. And the toughest part is having those conversations, especially with my investors. They have millions of dollars on the line, and you have to go to them and say, listen. All of the planning, all of the pre-research we did, everything lines up to that we're at the right right price point and we're looking at the right demographic. But after a few months, you realize that, you know what, things have shifted or things have changed, and having that conversation with them is something that's very difficult.
Well, it's like a seller of a residential house. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Or a buyer in this market where you think you have what you are going to be able to spend and get, 5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage for a price range.
What do you find the most difficult?
You know what? I think it's just a people thing in general. I think the thing I find the most difficult, you can fix and tweak anything in this business. I mean, you really can.
Yeah.
Whether it's getting better at your listing presentation or getting over the jitters of making calls, doing the J&J show, whatever it is,
Love
right?
the J&J show.
Love the J&J show. But what I find the most challenging is that, and Marsha Rand actually said it to me, she actually told, best advice, one of the best pieces of advice she ever gave me is to stop expecting people to behave the way you would. And that is the most frustrating thing, I think, for me, because I expect people to do how I would.
Yeah.
I'm loyal. I, stay with you. I don't cheat. I don't do, and that's tough in this business because there's a lot of people who pull you in markets like this. People run in all directions to try to get that house. And I think that's the hardest part is you can give so much to somebody and they're not being honest necessarily. So sometimes that's the hardest part and you have to, talk about the elephant in the room. If you think it's going on, it probably is.
Yeah.
So you have to really
in the room. I want to know what do you think?
I've already told you my age, so that's not the elephant.
I've noticed all of these listing agents, and I think, listen, if you're a listing agent, more power to you, especially in this market. I see that a lot of them are sitting on high horses, being very, very rude and very difficult with agents. Are you noticing that too?
This market breeds contempt, I always say.
Yeah.
And when you have the inventory, you get a little full of yourself, maybe some. Not all. Okay, but some do. And I know that there's a frustration out there for a lot of you guys watching that if you're bidding and you're just not getting that cooperation. But again, that goes back to what I just said, is that you expect people to act the way you would.
Yeah.
I think it's really... I'll say it this way. Payback is a you-know-what. Karma is a you-know-what. Because when the market shifts, and it always does at some point, and you go from a buyer's market to a seller's market, and right now you're in the seller's market. Now we're going to shift back to a buyer's market where there will be a lot of inventory at some future point. And we don't know when that is, obviously. But when that happens, you're now really having to work with these agents representing buyers and try to put deals together. And I don't want to be the person who's on the other end when you just treated them so badly.
Oh my God.
It takes 5 seconds to be nice to somebody.
That's it.
Or to respond to a text, to send an email, to do whatever. But waiting 3 days and you find out that you already went to highest and best and you didn't tell anybody in the mix that they lost the house and somebody's already gotten it.
You can't do that.
And then it's I just haven't had a chance to make the calls yet. What?
Yeah.
Take 5 minutes.
Take 5 minutes. Make the calls.
5 minutes.
Make the relationships. I think relationships are the most important thing in this business, hands down.
But when you do make the relationships, the best part is, we just had an agent, and maybe we'll bring him on one time too.
Yeah. So by the way, before you sorry to cut you off, we're going to start bringing on very successful agents, both within Howard Hanna, outside of Howard Hanna. We've already got a bunch lined up, and they're going to tell us their success stories.
Right. And some new agents, just so you can hear like what the trials and tribulations are.
So it won't just be us two going back and forth all the time.
This is kind of like day one.
Day one. We're just getting started.
But yeah, and then also agents who've changed and made the decision to leave one brokerage, come to another, and how their transition's going. That's that's another great
transitions are not
J&J show.
I love that. We'll do an episode on transitions because it's I went through a few transitions between leaving Howard Hanna, coming back to Howard Hanna, opening 2 brokerages along the way. They're not easy. There's a lot that goes into it. And
no, but see, if you're in Westchester, do you see the depth of this guy? Like, this is the person who can completely grow you and take you to the next level. So.
Yeah, we're gonna watch what happens in New Rochelle. It's gonna be amazing.
I'm behind you.
I know. I'm excited.
I can't wait. Okay, so Chris, so my agent, so we obviously multiple offers. And he wrote up this whole thing, put this whole package together, and just had everything so nicely packaged in this offer, and a cover letter, and on and on and on. And the agent called him and said, "You weren't the highest offer. You were close. You weren't the highest offer, but I told my sellers you are one of the best agents to work with." That is like, oh my God, that is winning lotto. because
love
they
it.
wanted to do the deal with him. They said this deal will go together because this is the agent.
Yeah.
And the other agent that had the little bit higher offer, who's not with Rand, so again, I'm not saying who it is.
Yep.
But the nice thing about that, or not nice for them, but was that they didn't have that reputation.
Yeah.
So they said, you know what? Every time I do a deal, it's a problem. And the seller was like, I'm listening to you. I don't want a problem, because if you take the problem and it falls through, you're going to end up with less money anyway.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, I think you did everything right there. So I mean, like I just think we just got to ride this market out. Kind of see what happens, and when it switches over, we'll see who's
who's standing,
who's still standing at the end of the day.
We're standing.
We're standing. We're still here. We're still here. So I mean, and so tell me about your office. I mean, I just pulled up to your office. This is my first time in the new city office, and I got to say, I mean, we have 900 square feet, and you have 9,000 square feet. It looks like.
A little bigger.
Tell me about the agency here. I want to know. Like, I don't. I only know I know a bunch about you, but I don't know about your office. I don't know about your agents. What's it like up here compared to Westchester? You think?
You know what? Listen, every office has the same dynamics. Everybody's got their top agents and their new agents and their agents that are transitioning and agents that are trying to get to the next level. We just have a few more of them. That's really, you know. But it's it's exciting. It's a big space. It's there's a lot of agents up here in this office, and there's still like great support. We have amazing staff.
Yeah.
I have Melissa Grillo, who's the company trainer, in here a couple of days a week also.
Oh, she's
to
great.
help,
She's awesome.
with
For those
all
of you
the
who don't
transition.
know her, she's amazing.
Well, she literally kickstarts anybody who comes to this company from any office. Like, she takes you through foundations, and I mean, that's probably another J&J show.
That's it. We have tons of
The
episodes.
launching of whether it's a new agent or new to the company experienced agent, the way we launch and do is just so smooth and so easy. There's just so much support. It's exciting to watch.
That's that's good. And I want to talk about.
But you also have a New Rochelle, because I'm a Westchester girl from being born. But you have really like this. It's a big city, but it's a small town.
Oh,
and
my
that's
God,
the coolest thing about the New Rochelle office. Like, the culture is just outstanding.
When I went into New Rochelle, I'm a White Plains guy, born and raised. My offices were in White Plains. I really focused all of my business either White Plains or Bronx, and I always just kind of hopped over New Rochelle. I never really stopped in to say hello. And when I got there, I thought I was expecting big city, because downtown New Rochelle is huge. You got all these big buildings. I did a project down there, and I thought that's what I was going to walk into, but. Let me tell you, North End New Rochelle is completely different. I mean, I walked into an office where everybody knows each other. Every agent in New Rochelle knows the other agent. They've been working together for so long. Within my office and other agents in other offices, everybody just has a real sense of cooperation. I mean, and I don't think I've seen it in other markets where they really treat each other with respect. They appreciate each other showing their listings. I mean, I think it was just a one-of-a-kind market that I have not seen in other places. So, I mean, I have high hopes for New Rochelle.
Watch out. And for the Rands watching this, watch out. You're going to be taking bigger space very soon.
We're going to be doing some big things
I have
down
a
there.
feeling this is like,
It's a start. She has this huge office right now. Just wait until New Rochelle has its 9,000 square foot.
I'm worried.
Office. We're going to get there. It's going to be New Rochelle and New City.
New Rochelle and New City.
That's right. New. J&J, new.
That's awesome.
It works out perfect. So you got a boat. I want to learn about your boat. You got to get off of real estate. I want to know about you.
Oh my God. So my husband is from Italy. Mm-hmm. And so we did a lot of traveling. There's a lot of family in Italy. And then obviously with COVID, things changed. So we got a weekend place and we got a boat. And we are people who have never boated.
Oh man.
So.
Oh no. I'm already hearing the horror stories coming.
All I'm going to tell you is, you remember that movie with Michael Douglas? And I'm trying to think who was in it with a Kathleen
If it was Michael Douglas,
Turner.
it was probably way before my time.
Oh, God, here we go. See, vintage 1971. War of the Roses, okay? You probably won't even like it, but anyway, whatever. War of the Roses. Yeah. And it's literally like this couple that just starts not getting along, and it's like the divorce from hell.
God. Yeah.
That's my husband and I on a boat trying to dock.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah.
It's brutal. It's brutal. I mean, we'll get there, but it's like, and the other thing that I learned, I mean, I have a loud voice in case anybody doesn't really realize that. And you can hear on the water, it's like you take the mic and forget about it. It's like being in, I don't know, like Madison Square Garden, your voice. Yep. It's just so emphasized, and I had no idea. So my sister-in-law was up and she was videoing us trying to dock, which was like a whole thing. It's blackmail.
Maybe we'll post that on...
If you want 10,000 really quickly, just send it to America's Funniest Home Videos.
Okay, we're going to post that later so we can see you docking, okay?
And no.
It's going up there.
And so anyway, the funny thing is like I had texted like we're coming in, and she starts this like video. You heard us like 4 minutes before the boat showed up. It was mortifying. I was like, oh my God, our neighbors.
Oh my God.
So I don't know.
All right. Well,
but you have a boat. I need lessons.
I had a boat. I bought a brand new boat last year, put it in the water. About 3 months went by in August, and a giant tree fell on it and smashed it. It was terrible. Terrible. The whole thing gone. My favorite boat that I've ever had. Now I'm looking for a new one. Can't find a new one. It's impossible.
Oh, because of COVID.
Yeah, because of COVID. Everybody's buying boats. There's nothing out there. There's backlogs. So this summer's going to be a beach summer, I think.
You'll find one.
We'll find something.
But you're going to have a great summer anyway, because you got married not that long ago.
You're
still married. Like, to me, it's still the honeymoon phase for you.
Yeah, it's still a honeymoon phase. And we got married. We had this huge wedding planned in June of 2020, which obviously did not happen because of COVID. But luckily, we had our wedding in Argentina.
How cool is that? Oh my God.
It was the coolest thing. It was about 50, 60 people. Very small, very tiny, very, I loved it. We did it, intimate, that's the word, intimate. And we did it in our backyard and in the house that we have in Argentina. And it was just beautiful. Beautiful day. Everything was all set up. And then, Danielle, my wife, she's getting ready. I'm getting ready. And all of a sudden I just hear a little rumble. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And it just starts downpouring.
No.
Everything that we set up all day is gone. My brother's out there in his swimsuit trying to move the chairs under the awnings and fix everything. Luckily, after 2 hours, guests start coming in and it's still raining. They're all hanging out inside the house and it stops raining right before the ceremony. So we're able to get it all done, and we had a great time. We had fireworks going off. I mean, it was just amazing. I remember when I was working.
But the best fairy tales, I mean, think about it. Just even fairy tales, you're reading your child a fairy tale. The best fairy tales start with something that goes amok, and then it's just this beautiful ending. So there you go. You had the fairy tale.
We were standing in the dining room, and I remember looking out at the rain, and I was holding Danielle, and I was like, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. And then somebody puts on Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles.
Oh my God, I'm really start crying.
A great moment, and we just danced to that song and said, you know what? If it rains, it rains. If it doesn't rain, it doesn't rain. Today we're getting married.
Look at me, I am. I'm literally.
It was beautiful.
So pathetic.
It was beautiful. So I'm really happy that we got married. Obviously, so if you're watching, I love you. But it was great. And I remember Marsha Rand. She used to always be on my case when we would have the gala. She goes, Julian, when are you getting married? You have to get married. Mom wants to see you married.
Right.
Talking about Lydia. And I finally did it, and I'm just so happy. So happy.
Oh my God.
It was great. And then for those of you who want to see some photos, I'll post some photos and videos. You can see what we did in Argentina.
Amazing. Yeah. I saw some of them on Facebook. So it was just incredible. It was incredible.
So I'm excited for next week's episode.
Yeah, definitely.
So next week, what we're going to do a success story. So we're going to bring in an agent. We're going to talk about how they got started in this business, how they made it big. I have some really great names lined up, so
I do too.
Stay tuned on our Facebook. Stay tuned.
Just so it's the success stories are top agents, but also agents who were rookies of the year.
Yeah,
they got in and they just made it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm excited to hear from them.
Me too.
Everybody has such a different journey in this business, and I'm somebody who likes to relate to other people. I like to listen to people talk and identify with them. And when we bring on these agents, I guarantee you guys listening here, you're going to just find
you're
so many
never
ideas.
Not going to have something to take away. That's the beautiful thing. And I always say to agents, when you're in a class, in an educational class, in CE credit, find one thing to take away. And every one of these agents are going to give you one thing, at least one thing to take away.
No
so it's going to be it's going to be awesome.
I'm excited. This was great. The
J
and J Show, episode 1. We're going to make a cool logo. This is just our pilot, so we'll see how it goes.
And there's no canceling us because we are us.
We are us. Nobody's going to cancel us. We're great. All right, guys. Well, enjoy your week.
Have a great week.
Come back next time for the J and J Show.
Bye.